And here we are. Welcome to the Circle of Love and Light. I'm Dr. Jane Mountrose, and I'm here with my husband and partner, Dr. Phillip Mountrose, and our wonderful guest, Misa Hopkins. I'll be telling you a little bit more about her in a few minutes here. And we're going to have an enlightening discussion today on how the divine feminine tames our fears. And I'm interested in hearing that myself, actually. I think it's so wonderful to have techniques for changing our fears. Um, Anyhow, I want to thank everybody for being here. This is an opportunity for you to light up your life, to heal, to grow, and help to create a more loving world, which is, for Phillip and me, our main mission in life. And before we start our discussion, I'd just like to take a moment to center ourselves and kind of come together. So if you can, if you're not driving, you can just close your eyes for a moment and breathe and be aware of your body. Just breathing into your body helps to become more present in the moment. And just releasing anything you don't need right now so you can relax a little bit, settle from your day. And just imagine that we're all surrounded by love and light, which we can be. And just breathe that in to your whole body, opening your heart, which is a doorway in itself. And just feeling the love that you hold there. Feels so good. And now with that, I'd like to just take a moment to tell you a little bit about Misa. Misa Hopkins is a thought leader in the field of consciousness and a leading global voice for the divine feminine. In her capacity as a guardian of an ancient path of the divine feminine, she is a wisdom keeper, spiritual teacher, healer, and best-selling author dedicated to serving a global audience in healing and awakening in this unparalleled time of need. I certainly agree with that. I think we all do. So, Misa, welcome, and thank you for being with us. Would you like to start by just telling a little bit more about yourself and why this topic is so important to you?
How this crazy journey got started?
Right.
Yes, that one.
That
So,
would be
really,
fine.
it's not what I thought I was going to be doing when I was in grade school.
Right. That may not
Was
have been one of your career choices in high school either.
no, it was not on the list, nowhere. And yet here we are, and here you are, right, with the beautiful
Right.
work that you're doing in the world.
Mm.
So thank you for having me and this opportunity to
Yes,
talk
you're
about
welcome.
the divine feminine, the sacred feminine, and why that's so significant right now on our planet. I think most conscious people I talk to today aren't surprised at all when we start talking about how over masculinized the world is, right? There's
Right.
just a lot of masculine energy that's driving our government, that's driving our businesses, it's driving the way that we live at home and often unconsciously. And masculine energy is fabulous energy. Absolutely wonderful energy. We need it in order to
Right.
live, to be honored. But any time that our systems are out of balance, we know that with our bodies, right? If our bodies are out of balance, we develop illnesses. And that's what's happened. In the way that my Cherokee elders taught me, we have been in approximately a 25,000 year arc of energy where we've been moving in masculine consciousness
Mm.
as it was intended to be, as it is supposed to be. And there's a point where you might say the water has started boiling.
Boiling
Getting a
over.
little too hot. And it doesn't work so well, right? Because we need to cool things down a bit. And the planet's
Mhm.
showing us that. Global warming is showing us that things have gotten too hot. And so this next arc that we are coming into is feminine focused. It doesn't mean that everything is only about the feminine. It means that feminine consciousness leads. And
Right.
so while we're in this transition point of determining what that means and what it looks like, it's chaotic. It's chaotic. We become entrenched in masculine pathways of doing things. And changing gears is not easy. It's not comfortable for most of us. And we need some help. We need some preparation. We need new concepts. We need to implement new concepts and try them out and see how they work and discover what new balance looks like when we incorporate divine feminine energy. So that's really the time that we're in. And Spirit does, as Spirit does, make sure that we have experiences that are going to push us right into the work that we're here to do. And so Spirit pushed me through my body and through mystical experiences to have a deep, deep understanding of masculine and feminine energy that in my experience kind of goes beyond the norm, and that's okay. That's as it should be, to give me a profound sense of those two energies and to be able to talk about then how we bring them into balance, what balance looks like when those energies are integrated a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. In our work, we often describe the feminine as the feminine is obviously the receptive, more kind of inwardly focused part of ourselves, and the more intuitive part. And it's the part of us that has the vision in the way that I understand it, at least. It holds the vision. So it's actually, I think, and you mentioned that did you say forward leading? I can't remember your exact wording. You said that the kind of like the feminine is the leader in
It will
rightfully,
be.
right? So I think it's the right order that it's we have a vision, and then the masculine has the action and the ability to realize that vision. So if either one is weak, we have a problem. If you don't have a vision, the masculine can spend a lot of energy doing things that are not that helpful, like boiling over. And similarly with the feminine, if there is no vision, or if the masculine's weak and you have the vision, then nothing happens either because you never realize your vision. So both are, as you mentioned, so important. And
They're
I think
vital.
it's pretty obvious that we've got a problem here.
So how
Yeah.
did you come, Misa, to this point where this was, it seems like maybe your key focus or your major priority? How
Yeah.
did you get to that point?
It started really with my body. I was in my 20s and 30s, and I spent 7 years looking for a doctor who could diagnose me
um,
because I was in excruciating pain, emotionally, just all over the map. And at that time, endocrinology was still a little bit new. And so most of the time I was talking to gynecologists, and even the specialists I talked to had no idea what to
Right.
do or how to help me.
mhm.
So 7 years, chronic illness, no cure in sight. And finally, I remember a day, Jane and Philip, where I was standing in front of my mirror. I felt horrible. My face was all broken out, and I hadn't slept well, emotionally just on edge. And I'm looking at this woman in the mirror, and I said to her, I don't know what it's going to take, but we are going to heal.
Mm.
And I'm in this for the long haul. We are going to heal. And I finished getting dressed and getting ready and went out to the car to meet a friend who was taking me to go shopping. And I had no more than sat down in the seat and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And she said, "Are you having some really interesting symptoms?" She said, and she started to list off my symptoms. And my jaw dropped. She was a law student. Like, how did she know these symptoms I'm having? And I said, yes. And how did you know? And she said, well, there are two major hormonal imbalances that a woman can have. And I've struggled with it, and I recognize some of the symptoms. And Misa, and but back then I wasn't called Misa, but there's a doctor an hour from here who is a world specialist
Wow.
in helping women rebalance their hormones. And so a few weeks later, I'm sitting in the doctor's office, and he listens to my story. A fabulous listener, which is a whole nother story about the sacred feminine. Talk about being totally embraced in an energy that in a man who was holding me, right?
Interesting.
I shared my symptoms with him, and he listened and listened, and he finally said, okay, here's what I think is happening, and we'll run the tests to verify it. I think you're producing too much testosterone. Well, when the tests came back, I was producing as much testosterone as a teenage boy.
Wow.
So my female organs were literally atrophying.
Hmm.
So when I say deep into masculine energy, I really, like, really mean deep. I can tell you food tasted different, scents were different. The way my mind worked and how I thought about things was very different than the way it is now. And it was another 7-year arc to get my body into balance. And that's about the time that my first career, well, second or third career, actually, by that point, as a consultant, started to really take off. So that balanced energy made a huge difference for me. So when I talk about feminine, masculine energy, I know it in the cells of my body.
Mm-hmm.
And then some
Right.
years later, it was mystical experiences, both extreme yang, extreme yin, that
Mm-hmm.
really finalized that and set it into place so that I would realize that there was a story within my story, and that story within is the greater story, right, of consciousness on the planet right now.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. That's amazing.
So once you realized that, did you get certain treatments to balance your hormones, or was a lot of it psychological or spiritual or both, or how did it shift?
Yeah, great question. All of the above. My doctor had me on
Hmm.
hormones to help balance out my own hormone production, and he said it would take 7 years to retrain my body, and it did.
Wow.
In the meantime, I had already started going to women's retreats, seeing a psychologist. I was doing very, very deep work to see what had basically caused me to break faith with my body
Mm-hmm.
and to help me restore emotional balance. And after I had done years and years of work, again, roughly seven, I had not thought about that, roughly 7 years of very, very deep work, I finally had a memory come to the surface that I had repressed, and I had been sexually abused as a child.
Mm.
And so, as I was preparing to have children and inviting my body to do that with me, my body started shutting down, as though it's not safe to be a woman; it is safer to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to create a whole new sense of safety with what it meant to be a woman and trust in that and follow that. And so it was really the combination of very profound emotional work, very deep spiritual work, and that physical support that brought me into balance.
Hmm. What does that mean to be safety to be a woman?
Well, women live with many of us a fairly pervasive knowledge that when we're alone in the world, if we're out at night, if we're by ourselves, we are vulnerable. We're physically vulnerable. If we're in a relationship, say with a partner who doesn't have a mature
Hmm.
relationship to his own feelings, we are physically vulnerable and we are emotionally vulnerable. And I've worked with a lot of women over the years. I've done a summit around sexual abuse. That is so pervasive in the world, not just in the
Mm-hmm.
US, but
Yeah.
we're seeing a quarter to one-third of the women are have been sexually violated, and most of that initial violation takes place before the age of 4.
Wow.
So physical violation is a significant issue on the planet today. And if we look at our sweet Mother Earth, we do the same thing to her, right? We violate her sovereignty. We
Boy, that's for sure.
overuse physically without considering what is needed for balance or listening to her as a living being to have deeper understandings about how to work with her own energy systems more cooperatively. And that comes from feminine consciousness. We think cooperatively in
Mm-hmm.
feminine consciousness. And that is its nature. But masculine consciousness is about what you were talking about, Jane, that action that gets things done, right? It
Hmm.
is the
Really,
expression.
it's important.
It's absolutely vital. You don't want one without the other. Too much
Right,
feminine consciousness, and we wouldn't get anything done,
right. And that
right?
happens.
And it does happen,
We've seen that happen
absolutely.
too.
And
Right.
right, that's right. And often because we don't feel safe in the world.
Hmm.
So
Right.
that sense of safety I have found is fundamental to being able to be at peace with our own feminine consciousness. To know, for example, that my feminine wisdom may actually be seeing a route, a way of creating in the world that would be more effective than the way I was taught to do it in a masculine kind of
Right.
energy, right? So, for example, the day that my income really started to change was the day I sat down with myself and said, just forget about all your corporate training, girl. Just forget about it for a minute. All the things you know about setting goals and making things happen, let it go. What are you going to feel like when you have more than enough money, more than you need? How are you going to feel? I said, "Oh, I'm going to be so relaxed." And I said, well, why don't we do that? Why don't we work from a feeling state of beingness, being that relaxed, at peace, enjoying yourself? And
Hmm.
any expression you choose to do, any goals or benchmarks you want to set are based on that. Start there.
Hmm.
And I practiced it for a month, total relaxation. And I have to tell you, we were living month to month. There was no big amount of money in savings that was going to take care of us if my experiment failed. I had to get it, had to be
No
right.
safety net.
No safety net. Well, that's not entirely true. We had some set aside for emergency medical
Okay.
kinds of things, right?
Okay.
So,
A little bit.
okay, a little push if we needed it. That's the real truth. But in my mind, that wasn't anything that was touched. This had to work, and I had to trust. And I
Hmm.
had to feel safe with the wisdom that was coming from me, from a deeper state of consciousness. And Philip and Jane, it was our best month ever. So we did it again, and I enlisted my husband this time, and whew, what is the energy of that? And once again, over and over, we saw how simply being the energy that we wanted to create made a far bigger difference for us than the amount of activity that we were putting in. The activity followed. And that's what
Hmm.
you were speaking to right away at the beginning, Jane, is that
Hmm.
yes, I would say it was a full body vision.
Right.
The
Right.
wholeness of me could sense, see, hear, feel, know what that field was that
Hmm.
I was choosing to create and
Right.
live in that field of consciousness. So
Hmm.
that's a little risky when you haven't done it before. And that willingness to feel safe and knowledgeable with my
Right.
own inner knowing and trust it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a beautiful story too, and it's so important, to be in the feeling of what we want,
Mm-hmm.
of what we want to create,
Yeah.
and we are creators. To recognize that and to be where we want to be in our own
Yeah.
mind and heart. Yeah. Yeah. I think another thing that's so important that I know I didn't realize for many years probably, is that the earth is alive and the earth is a feminine creature. And you can communicate with the earth. I, Philip and I, we in the morning we have two dogs and we like to walk them when the sun is coming up. So we walk in facing into the sun and welcome the day. And just recently, as an example, we were walking and I thanked Mother Earth for the beautiful sunrise because it was just a beautiful day. And I felt instantaneously, I felt all this beautiful energy coming up from the ground. And I thought, well, you're imagining it, those kind of things that you actually probably the masculine part of us says, the rational part. And so
right.
I did it again, and the same thing happened again.
Mhm.
And I think it's very easy, if we open to that feeling nature, also to experience the truth of how everything is connected and everything is alive. And
Hmm.
particularly the earth, if we're talking about creating a better world, we're also talking about creating a relationship with Mother Earth.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so true. There's a deeper wisdom that we can connect with and actually slide into an understanding of her systems, right? One of the great articles I read years ago that just brought me so much joy was the realization that aspen trees have a shared root system and
Mm-hmm.
an ability to communicate with each other, right, through their interlocked roots. And if you start cutting an aspen tree down, you're not cutting down one aspen tree. It affects quite a
The whole
few of
community.
them, right? The community.
Right, right.
Right. That kind of wisdom that fortunately science is bringing to us gives us a way to have a deeper understanding of interlocking systems across the entire planet. That's just one example. And we are interconnected
Mm-hmm.
within those systems. So one of the insights that my ancestors gave to me that I was so grateful for in understanding our relationship with this Mother Earth is that right now humans have been so active, literally things are heating up, right? Some of it is the mother's own process, some of it is what we have brought to the table, and she's heating up. And
Mm-hmm.
my ancestors said to me, yes, and what cools it down? And inwardly, my jaw just dropped. That's yin energy. That's feminine energy. If we listen to the and adhere to what the Chinese have been teaching us for
Mm-hmm.
thousands of
Right.
years. Yang energy is hot, bright, active, light-based energy. Yin energy is dark, cool, receptive, still energy. So, what do we need on this planet as humans more than anything? What are we seeing in our little 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds? What are they doing now? They're meditating. And what happens? You go through quite a period in meditation that is very still and quiet and cool. It's that gorgeous yin energy. And as we're doing it, we are contributing to a cooling down of our planetary energy.
Wow. Wow, that's wonderful. That no, I had never heard that said or thought about it that way, but that makes
Yeah,
a
that's a
lot of
nice way of
sense.
putting it.
Right. Yeah. Um, just to return to the headline, can you address specifically how the divine feminine tames our fears?
Yeah, let me start out by sharing with you my experience in yin and yang energy because then it makes a little more sense and then what my ancestors taught me about that. So, when I was in Egypt, I was with about 300 psychics and healers, if you can imagine, on three
Wow.
ships going up the Nile River. And I mean, every day, people around me were having some kind of profound experience of awakening. And I had my turn too. And one of the very profound experiences was being yin energy for 24 hours.
Hmm.
And so to make that real, it meant that forming a word could take me seconds to form a single word. Um, my friend Ron picked me up and we were going over to do some chanting on one of the ships, and I am a sound healer and singer, so of course I wanted to go sing, right? It took us, I have no idea how long to get to that ship because every step had to be this slow, conscious step. And when we got there, it took so much energy to sing, I couldn't even sing. What I became was space that held it
Wow.
all potential, everything that has never been, could be, is, all of it. I could feel it all, aware of it all. And in order to hold that kind of immense, unlimited potential and unlimited love, it requires absolute stillness of being. So that was my experience of what feminine energy or yin energy really is. It is that which holds it
Wow.
all potential.
Mm-hmm.
Masculine energy, sometime later, I got to experience absolute, pure, blissful white light. It was that for about an hour, just my body vibrating, shaking in white light. And it's very fast and rapid and ecstatic. And it's what most of us associate with spiritual awakening, right? Is that sense of light-based static. I've also had profound experiences in sound. Also masculine energy, also its expression. So the expression of consciousness. So these two very distinct energies give us an opportunity to know ourselves in slightly different ways. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So when we're talking about feminine energy as a way to be present to a fear, to tame a fear, what I know to do, what I learned to do, is to take the fear that was bubbling up in me, whether or not I had a name for it or a way to describe it, the realization of a doubt or a fear, and be present to it in that yin space, to hold it in its suchness as it is, because that is what divine feminine consciousness does. It isn't moving things around. It isn't fixing things. It isn't trying to patch things up. It
Right.
isn't choosing one potential over another potential. It simply holds what is there in infinite love. Our consciousness chooses the direction or the way that I love Cahill Gibran spoke to it is life longing to know itself. In that expression of sound and light, it we could say reaches out, it moves, right, through
Mm-hmm.
time and space. It separates into different colors of light. It separates into different human beings in expression to know itself. So when fear is present, there is a part of us that is afraid we do not know ourselves in this moment. And when we take it into a place of that holding, loving it as it is without any judgment, without attempting to fix it or change it, what happens is that the fear begins to unravel itself. It unwinds itself. And most of us
Mm-hmm.
know what this is like. We were talking about listening earlier. If you're troubled by something and you sit down with a caring person who listens without judging you and receives what you have to say, your fear starts dissipating. You relax. You kind of go, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was. I can handle this. And now yang energy emerges. You're like, oh, well, I could do this. I could make an alteration of course here. I could change a perception there.
Mm-hmm.
Your expression, you see a way to express in a new way that allows you to live in greater joy, ease, comfort, prosperity,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're
Right.
working on, right? You can have a more profound experience. So, yin energy, what I love about yin energy and what my clients love about yin energy is that when you take it in and you allow it, whatever it is that's troubling you, to be loved, that part of you that's been trying to protect yourself from feeling bad starts to relax.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have
Right.
to protect myself. I'm already loved. And that's what that part of you always wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It always wanted to be loved and accepted as you are. Brilliant and flawed, however you perceive it, doesn't matter to divine feminine energy. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
perception. You are that which is, and you
Mm-hmm.
are
Hmm.
lovable as that which is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's really amazing. And
Y-
it actually, I just want to mention one thing, Philip. The when we started, and we just took a moment to stop and breathe and just breathe in love. It that's one of the practices I recommend to just about everybody because it really is amazing. If you do that within a moment, you just everything just kind of lets go. And I felt that when we started. It's kind of like, oh, I want to stay here.
That's exactly what happens. And
Right.
it's interesting. I've had my students say to me, well, if I love it, won't that make it bigger? The fear, the problem, won't that make it
Right.
bigger? And it works exactly the opposite.
Yeah, that's
If you
wonderful.
love it, it actually starts to relax and until it just isn't needed anymore, right? You don't need
Yeah.
that fear. What
Yeah.
does expand is what you desire.
Right.
That
Yeah.
desire to feel more peace or more at ease or more joy or whatever you're working on,
Right.
that
Yeah.
expands.
Joy,
Hmm.
ease, flow. I love all of
Yeah,
them.
All of it
there we
sounds good.
go.
And it,
They all
it,
work.
it kind of reminds me where we all started as infants. And one of the basic things that infants want is to be seen and recognized by their caretaker at the most, basic place. And we're still there in different permutations growing up, which is interesting if you think about from the other side where we are seen and heard and everything is one, but we come here on this planet of a lot of beauty and a lot of stress and, as we said, challenges. And we aren't seen, we aren't heard, we are fragmented. We getting back to that loving place to get to, kind of like T.S. Eliot, where we started, but at a higher place than where we were, where we began.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And I think that those
Mm.
those needs that we have, they start right in the womb. You need to feel safe within your mother's womb. You need to know that you are wanted. You need to know that
Hmm.
you are nourished and cared for. Um, it begins there. And then when we're very young, the same thing. We go through what my ancestors call needs of the soul. So as you get to, say, age 1 to 3, you're in what my ancestors called a state of wonder. This is about I want to explore. I want to touch everything. I want to have
Hmm.
my fingers in everything. I want to see everything I can see, right? I don't want to go to sleep because there's so much to see, right? It's a powerful age of wonder. And what I've discovered is that if any stage in that early development, we didn't get those needs met, the emotional need, for example, to feel wanted, the emotional need of being able to be in a state of wonder, to explore. I grew up in an age, as many of us did, when parents thought it was appropriate to slap a child's hands for touching something.
Yeah.
Right. That was how we were disciplined. You wouldn't clear off the coffee table, you would slap their hands, right? So that stifles that age of wonder because I'm not being shown how to explore safely.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And how I do that in a way that is exhilarating to me, but also is respectful of everyone and the environment around me. So when those needs don't get met, then we seek to have them met as adults. But as a brilliant elder once said to me, my dear friend Gigi, before she crossed over, Misa, if you didn't have what you needed when you were young, you are never going to fix it as an adult by going out and buying things or doing things.
Hmm.
You were 9 years old, she said, and you wanted a bicycle, and your family couldn't afford a bicycle. But that bicycle represented belonging, especially at a developmental age where belonging is important because your buddies
Right.
rode bikes. She said, you can be in your 20s, buy all the cars in the world that you want to. It's not going to replace that bike.
Nope.
Yeah.
It is not, and she is right. It's in the inner worlds that we have to go
Hmm.
to meet
Right.
that child self and help
Hmm.
that child spirit that lives inside of us feel, in this case, in this example, what it is to belong.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
once that need is met, the fear that I don't belong goes away.
Wow.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's well put. That's very beautifully said.
Right. and the time goes so fast. It's flying by already. And I know that you had a meditation for us. Would this be a good time for that?
I do. Yeah, let's do it. It's
Let's
the
do
holding
that.
meditation. So this
Oh, okay.
is the the form of being in the yin energy that I was
Good.
taught and that I'm delighted to share today. So we want about 10 minutes, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, that would be great.
Hmm.
All right. So I invite us to get comfortable. If you're sitting, it's good to have feet flat on the floor, hands in an open position. If you need to recline, I would just recommend that you uncross your ankles so there's a good flow of energy. And sit comfortably and breathe into the space that you are. We are blessed to live at a time when scientists are demonstrating that we are infinitely more space than we are the sound and light that create the illusions of matter. As you notice your inhale and exhale, you begin a journey into that space. You might notice there is a sliver of space between the inhale and the exhale. And that is a doorway to your divine feminine energy. As you are present to that sliver of space, notice its restful nature. And notice the expansiveness of a restful nature. In this expanded, restful awareness, consider a moment when you felt love, any kind of love. Watching the sunrise, receiving a hug, a mystical moment, a moment with a pet. And if love feels like a stretch, being present to the awareness that love exists is in and of itself a doorway to love. Allow the awareness of this love and the space to be experienced as one energy. Expansive love. Allow the awareness of expansive love to anchor in your energetic womb space. Both women and men have this space within. This space is connected to the primordial womb of all life from which we have all come. We call it yin, divine or sacred feminine. It is the womb or space from which all life has been born. Allow yourself to be in this primordial womb. And let your imagination bring you whatever you need to feel safe. Invite yourself to reflect on a place in your life where you might be feeling a little stuck, or there might be a little resistance. And allow that stuckness or resistance to be here in this space. As you notice it, allow it to simply be. There is nothing to do with it, only to acknowledge its existence. And invite your mind to take you deeper into love than you have ever been before, into a more profound awareness of love. Love holding that stuckness. That resistance held in infinite love. Love that is within you and around you. You might sense, see, hear, know, feel your ancestors around you or your guardians around you. Part of this field of love. Together holding with gentleness and kindness this feeling. It was born in some moment of helplessness or hopelessness. And here it has a right to exist. And here it is worthy of love and deep compassion. Let the images and thoughts and feelings and sounds come and go. And let the silence, the stillness, and the compassion do its work. Here you are loved exactly as you are. The stuckness is loved exactly as it is. There is nothing that can be done to earn this love or to push it away. It exists as you exist, and whatever you bring to this sacred womb is loved and understood. Its origins completely understood. And here the stuckness begins its journey of softening and unraveling and unwinding. And either today or at some moment in days to come, as you continue to hold, it will completely unravel until all that is left is a space in which to be reborn. You might notice sounds emerging or feelings, vision. You might see, sense, hear, know, or feel a part of you coming to life. The expression you've always longed to be. Let that energy rise and fill every part of your being. You might notice a specific vision or a specific sound, a symbol. You might feel something that is very tangible. This is your I am, the I am of your expression of the divine longing to know itself through you in this moment. See, sense, hear, know, feel this I am becoming in your life. What does it look like in your day-to-day life, or sound like, or feel like? And this is the great alchemical transformation when we bring this light of the divine, this sound of the divine, this feeling, this pulse of divine consciousness into our physical lives. So with this blessed awareness, we're going to take 3 breaths together and blow this consciousness right into our bodies and minds and spirits so we can live it. I invite you to join me now in taking 3 big breaths. A big inhale through your nose and blow it into your bones. Good, blow it hard. All the way into your bones, bringing this beautiful I am into physical awareness. And now notice the air around you. It has a scent, a texture. There might be sounds on the air. Physical reality. Another breath, big inhale, and blow it into your body. Notice that you are sitting against physical matter. And you are bringing this I am into physical form. Last breath, we are coming all the way back in. Big inhale and blow. All the way back into your body. Rub, stretch. This step is very important. Make sure you can feel your body. And when you can feel your body, very gently open your eyes and live your I am.
Mm. Thank you, Misa. That was beautiful.
My pleasure. That meditation is over 1,000 years old.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that reminds me doing that of how you mentioned the earth cooling with as we embrace more of the feminine and really love. The essence to me is love. Um, that we can just emulate the energy that we want to create. And I think that's really what we're here in the circle for ultimately. So it is by being, it's by being the love and being also what we want,
Yes.
focusing on being well, you mentioned uh, having a desire and then just allowing yourself to relax with it. We can, because it is, I don't feel, obviously trying to battle against war is not going to solve the problem, or battle against the people who are hateful or whatever. It doesn't seem to work either. And that's how we came to the idea of having the circle, is that we have to instead focus on what we want. And
Mhm.
that was such a beautiful example. Thank you.
My pleasure. Well, those deep, deep desires, and when they come from the divine, are the qualities of life that we universally want.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. That
Right.
makes division much less possible other than different ways of creating it, right? We
Mm-hmm.
want,
Hmm.
okay, we want to feel at peace. What does that look like? And how do
Right.
we create that? And you've got an interesting opinion, and so do you, and so do I. And then division becomes a very different experience than when it is a need to be right at the expense of another,
Mm-hmm.
have
Right.
the answer
Right.
at the
Yeah,
expense
there is no need for resistance, or it really is. And
of
then
will.
the way I see it, then we become all these little sources of light around the world.
Yes.
And if we're all nurturing Mother Earth, then
Hmm.
obviously we're doing a great job for for humanity. So
Right.
yeah,
That's
really.
right. And isn't it lovely that we can be that for Mother Earth by being that for ourselves? Because we
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
are an integrated system, right?
Right.
We're an integrated
Right.
energy system. So,
Right. And we can thank her too.
You know,
um,
working
Doesn't
working
hurt.
working together instead of against one another. What a crazy idea.
Right.
how novel.
Right. And it's
That's very
interesting
true.
too, because I say this often, love is one of the best things you can do for your health and well-being, and it just has so many benefits on all levels. It's kind of like a no-brainer, but I think people think it's like, oh, that can't be the solution. It
Well,
must be more complicated than that.
it's so true. And it was my dear, dear friend Ariane. In fact, she talks on the website, so it's okay for me to share this. I have her permission. She started doing this holding meditation, and she loved it when she discovered it, and she'd been meditating for over 30 years. And she did it every day for 90 days. And
Mm-hmm.
then she picked up the phone and called me, and she said, Misa, you know that chronic genetic depression I have lived with all my life, or for 15 years, not all her life, 15 years? And I said, yeah. She said, it's gone.
Yeah.
I watched it float out of my body. 3 years later, we're sitting on my patio and we're talking over a cup, glass of tea. And she said, you remember the day I called you? And I said, yeah, I remember. And she said, well, do you know I haven't had a bout of depression since then?
Yeah.
So you're saying it exactly, Jane. That love is far more profound than we may realize. And it's that
Mm-hmm.
state of love she used to heal chronic depression. It's the same love I used and accessed in that way to help heal cancer. It's the love that one of the gals studying with me used to manifest 3 jobs for her husband in one week. She held in love exactly the qualities that he wanted to experience.
Mm. Wow.
And 3 potential offers came in 1 week. I mean, it's very, very tangible when we open to that love and allow ourselves to experience its manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yeah.
tangible.
Yeah, for sure. I had, well, the thing actually that got us going into the work that we're doing now, that we've been doing for a few decades now. I was an architect and Philip was an educator, and it was fine for a while. We were successful. We had all the trappings of success and everything. It was fine. But we got to a point where it just wasn't working for us. And for me, particularly, I felt like my soul was dying. And it was, I knew something big had to change. I didn't know how it would change, but we were blessed at that point to be introduced to a couple of their spiritual teachers. Spiritual teachers. Actually, they're going to be on the circle next week too, which I recommend for anybody watching to be here for that too. And they had a meditation that I started doing every day, which is about connecting with the love in your heart and just being in that space. And from the first week, my life was different, and it's never gone back.
Yeah, it's really giving yourself permission to experience love.
Right.
And I've
Mhm.
had the pleasure of working with women who came to me and said, I don't feel love. And what they discover in the process is that they didn't necessarily recognize it when they felt it. And then once you realize where you're feeling it and how you're feeling it, what it's like for you, and let it expand, then that
Mm-hmm.
love becomes such a powerful motivating agent for change in our lives. And I can
Mm-hmm.
really
Mhm.
hear how it was a powerful motivating agent of change
Mhm.
for you, you
Right.
know.
And that's what we've been teaching ever since. That's the really the basis of all of our teaching. And my understanding of spiritual healing is about it is love is the most powerful healer there is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
And,
So,
absolutely.
and speaking of the circle of love and light, this may have taken us full circle where we started, taming the divine feminine, taming your fears. Because when you're trapped in fears, you really are trapped and you are numb. It's like you're saying that those ladies you help your clients. There's all these wonderful things happening to us. We can't recognize them. We can't feel them. We can't access them. We miss them. We're shut down, etc. Until we open up and say, hey, there's a lot there and there's a lot more that could be there if I open and feel that embrace. I felt in your really wonderful meditation, sort of embraced by the earth, sort of like a child being hugged. And then you feel fine. And then you can recognize and you can relax and take a lot in and do a lot of wonderful things.
mm-hmm.
Exactly. And what I so love about this ancient practice is that as you are in that more relaxed and you're feeling and you're taking in that love, there's this literal rising up or welling up of your light being,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
sound being, right? Those expressions, and they're
Mm-hmm.
coming from such a pure place that as you engage in the world, you're engaging from that purity,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that profound love. And isn't that the world that we want to create,
Oh,
right?
for
Where our
Yes.
sure.
actions
Right.
are a reflection, as you said, Jane, of the vision that we're holding,
Right. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
beautiful quality of life we want here.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you so much. This has been the the hour went by so quickly.
It
It
It's
did.
did.
been wonderful. And I wonder if you would like to tell the people who are watching and listening how they could find out more about you.
Yeah, the place to go is to sacredfeminine.awakening.com. So sacredfeminine.awakening.com, where you can download an audio of this holding.
Oh, wow.
And you can practice it then as often as you want. Try it out, see how it fits. See if it
Right.
benefits your life.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
You're at sacred. Give me that again. I'll write it in the notes here.
Oh, awesome. Sacred Feminine Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
.com.
.com. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you. And thank you again. This has been just wonderful.
Well, thank you. What great work you are doing. I've enjoyed getting to know you a little bit before we met and getting to know your work. And just thank you. We need
Um,
you so much.
yeah. Thank you. You too.
Yeah.
And for anyone, if you want to know more about the circle, we have a website at circleofloveandlight.org. And for Philip and me, we're the directors of Awakenings Institute. Our main website is gettingthrough.org, which is gettingthru.org. And it has different parts. Gettingthrough.org/awakenings is where you can find out about Awakenings Institute and our dream of a better world. You can go to gettingthrough.org /holistic also to find out about our trainings and programs. And there's more, lots more. We've had the website for more than 20 years, so it's very big. Just keeps expanding and changing, which is wonderful. And before we go, I just want to thank everybody who's here because we are in what we're doing. We are changing the world. And so I am grateful that you're here. And if you
Mhm.
want to support the circle, you can, there are a few things you can do. You can like the page on Facebook. You can share this video with your friends, and you can invite friends and come back and just enjoy it more. So again, I hope everybody's having a wonderful week. We can send that love. I love to also send the love out and just fill the whole future, and particularly this next week, with love. So have a wonderful week,
Yeah,
everybody.
thanks so much, Misa. Great being with you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you. Thank you.